ID and 90-day trials.
Yeah, well, we've just had a case come out of the Employment Relations Authority about 90-day trial periods, and basically they've said this is a heads up for employers to get their documentation in order. We had a beekeeping business, and they wanted a staff member, so they found a guy on his first day of work, turned up. They gave him some documents, sent him home for the afternoon and said have a read and come back. Those documents didn't have his name, his pay, his hours, or anything like that, even nowhere for him to even sign. He started working on the job, and because he was a bit of a no-hoper in the long run, he killed off some beehives, etc. They terminated him. Now he thought that was unjustified, so took a case, and the employers tried to argue, well, look, he was on a 90-day trial period, so we had full rights to get rid of him because he wasn't performing. The Employment Relations Authority said no, you didn't actually have all your documentation in order. There are some strict requirements. So they tried to argue that he was on probation, and again didn't have anything in order. So they basically lost the case. The Employment Relations Authority did actually concede a little bit in terms of the employer by saying, look, he didn't perform, he wasn't up to the job, so cut his payout by half. And so,
but it was a payout.
Yeah, he got lost wages, and he also got some compensation for the loss of dignity and humiliation, basically.
So I'm not going to take sides. You've got to be apolitical here, Kerry. But seriously, I mean, and that's how tricky it is now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you've got to make sure that before they start, you give them a document that has all their details, and especially the clause in there about 90 days. They've got to agree to it. You can't give it on the day they start. It's got to be in advance. You've got to give them a chance to go away and actually look it up and talk to someone else if they want, so get proper legal advice if they really want to go that far, and then an opportunity to come back and question you over it.
Is it a wise thing to actually you step back and let your accountant or your lawyer do it? Because you could easily, as a layman, tick a wrong box.
Yeah, definitely. We're doing more and more agreements ourselves for a lot of our clients because they don't want that risk. They want the assurance that all the right clauses are in there. If you don't want to pay an accountant or lawyer, you can go to the Department of Labour. They've got an employment agreement on there, but you've got to make sure you tick the right boxes.
But see, that's the minefield. I mean, that to me is the danger zone, because it's just, you just tick the wrong box because you didn't totally understand or read properly. The phone rang.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the risks that we're seeing more and more of. So that's why a lot of clients say, look, you take that off for us. We'll go ahead and do the agreement. They're confident then we've got all the right clauses in there. And your accountant knows exactly what the wording should be, because it's very difficult.
Whatever your accountant's going to charge you, Kerry, is going to be a hell of a lot less than a payout.
Oh, exactly, yeah, because some of the payouts sort of $5,000 to $10,000. So a little bill for an agreement's pretty cheap in the long run.
So they're doing a campaign, IRD.
Yes, the recent tax announcements, of the changes for the future, so the provisional tax, removing the penalties in that. IRD are going to start a big advertising campaign, so they're going to be coming in the paper, TV, radio, directing everyone to a website where you can go and look at some videos on what the proposed changes are and also how you can comment on them. They've put $600,000 behind this campaign because they know the importance of it. And basically, if you want the changes to be what they are, you need to get in there and voice them. If you do nothing and you're not happy with them, well, tough luck, basically. You've had a chance. This is your opportunity to get out there, understand them, and actually comment.
Right, so it's the old story of move now or don't open your mouth later.
Exactly, yeah, and these changes are quite good in the long run, especially removing some penalties, rejigging the whole provisional tax to make it a bit easier in the long run. You need to comment if you really want them, and we think you should get out there doing it. Even if you just want to say, look, I agree with the changes, at least you've had a say, and this is good of IRD to actually get out there and put a big campaign in behind it.
So just to recap, where do you get this information from?
It's about to start, so IRD will have in the paper there'll be a website that you go to, and on that website will be a whole pile of videos and also an opportunity to comment.
Got it, okay. Now, fringe benefit tax. Oh gosh.
Yeah, there's a few inquiries coming through about vehicles on a farm. A few clients said, "Oh, I've got a vehicle I've given to a staff member, such as a Holden Commodore or something like that. I don't have to worry about it, do I? Because it's a farm." It's not quite that easy. If you've got a vehicle that you give to a staff member and they can use it for personal use, or even if it's just available, it's a real terminology. You may have an FBT problem, and you may have to pay what they call the perks tax. So the first step is obviously to talk to your accountant and find out what vehicles could be subject to it. Like a single cab ute won't be because it's a work-related vehicle, but a Commodore or even potentially a double cab ute could be subject to this perks tax, and it's something that a lot of farmers don't think about.
Well, you wouldn't. And the deal is that, I assume, is that because it could be used to take the family into town,
Yep, then that would be subject to FPT. And it doesn't have to be used, it's just got to be available. So it could sit there 7 days a week, and if you've got no restrictions or prohibitions around it, then that is available and potentially subject to it.
So in their employment agreement that you or your lawyer has actually...
Yeah, that's one of the steps. There's also some other steps involved. There's quite a few little documents, and especially if you've got a company and you've got, say, the wife in there as a shareholder and she's got her own personal car, that's also an implication that you've got to think about. Because 9 times out of 10, she won't have a ute, she'll have some sort of a
she'll
sedan
have
or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and so that's another one that you've got to think about as well. And accountants up and down the country will be able to help you with what's required there.
So are we talking more here than just having a logbook for the first 3 months?
Definitely, yeah. The logbook is really if you want to claim sort of a percentage for business use. This is a lot more involved. You either make it fully available or you put some restrictions in place. But then you have the restrictions.
And sign
yes,
for.
Yep, and you've got to do some checks. So you've got to every so often go out and have a look and see whether that vehicle's been used or not. If you put a restriction in place, so it's quite involved.
You need to minute that anywhere?
You have to keep a note of it in a diary or something like that. Yes. So for example, we've got a special logbook we've designed for our clients, and they just go and write down the date, the time, and what the outcome was, and put that on file.
I'm sort of shuddering a bit because you're getting more and more compliance, aren't you?
You are, yes. And really FPT is one of those things that they should be getting rid of because most people don't pay it. There are some very clever ways around it that the High Court and other cases have come out and said if you do this then you don't have to pay it. The costs involved in IRD collecting them are not really worth it in the long run.
Yeah, okay. But they are there in the meantime.
They are there, and we've got to work with what the law says. And as a employer, you've got to think about what you're doing for your staff and make sure you sort of have this covered because it could be one they could trip you up on.
So take-home message is really more compliance.
Yeah, talk to your accountant at the moment you go to get a vehicle for yourself or even an employee. Talk to them first and find out what's involved and then go from there. And
as far as those employment contracts, I mean, that is, you don't mind doing those for people?
No, that's one of the things that we quite enjoy really because we know where they're protected.
And during your conversation with them, you'll be saying, are you supplying them firewood? Are you supplying them a vehicle that they can have access to?
Yeah, we've gone through all the list of things.
Are you giving them free meat?
Yeah, we go through a whole list of things that they could potentially be given a staff member and just making sure we've got all the bases covered before that staff member's even on the farm.
You guys are amazing. No wonder you do 40 hours a year straight research. Thank you very much indeed, Kerry.